Mr. Mehrotra, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. So you haven't filed this petition only on account of the disruptions that we're seeing in this particular session of Parliament, but as Ashmit was pointing out, this is on account of all the lost money and time going back from 1999 to 2015.
Yes. This petition actually presents a larger picture, and unfortunately it's a very dismal picture which comes out in as much as during the last 13 years, over almost 6 Lok Sabha sessions, the kind of public time which has been wasted for important legislation runs to more than 2,000 hours. And the cost of stalling Parliament is to the extent a staggering amount of 30,000 rupees per minute, thus adding up to almost more than 3,000 crores over these years. Now the larger picture is this, and essentially the NGO, the Foundation for Restoration of National Values, which comprises not only intellectuals but seeks to project the larger public interest, in as much as Parliament, which is supposed to function, which is a key element of the constitution and of the parliamentary democracy, if it is unable to function, where do we go from there? That is one. Secondly, the amount of public money which is wasted, which needs to be safeguarded. And thirdly, and most importantly, that the trust and the faith of the people, which has been reposed in the representatives, they've not been sent to Parliament to stall it. That is what is
sure. But Mr. Mehrotra, you make very valid points, but if I may play devil's advocate here, would this not amount to judicial overreach, sir? Because parliamentarians are voted by the people of this country. Would this not amount to judicial overreach for the Supreme Court to lay down guidelines on how Parliament ought to function?
That is the key. It's not as if the Supreme Court has intervened in several areas where either there's a lacuna, there is no law, or there is a vacuum. Now, here is a case where Parliament is unable to do anything about it. And so far as the immunity under the Constitution is concerned, the immunity does not and cannot, and which is what we raised in the petition before the Supreme Court, cannot extend to an act which is not in accordance with the Constitution and which actually is to the detriment of the public at large. And in this situation, the Supreme Court under Article 142, which is the provision for it to do complete justice in the matter and to exactly fill the vacuum where, in fact, there is one in this particular case, is what our prayer is to the court. And that remains to be seen. The fervent prayer to the court is that when the Parliament is unable to function, when it is unable to do anything about it, this has been happening over the years, how long can it go on for?
How long can it go on for? Well, appreciate you joining us, Ravi Mehrotra, counsel for the NGO that has filed a petition in the Supreme Court seeking an end to parliamentary disruptions and a laying down of guidelines, so to speak, to ensure that legislative action is in fact carried forward. But appreciate your time here on CNBC TV 18.